Everyone, welcome to this session. So let's understand what is reduce method in JavaScript. So we use reduce method whenever we want to combine all the elements of a data set into a single value based on some specified logic. Alright, so the reduce method applies a function to an array to reduce it to a single value. It iterates over the array, combining elements based on a specified logic. The result can be a sum, product, concatenation, or any derived value. Alright, so for example, if you have an array and you want to reduce this array's elements values into a single value, now your logic could be anything, right? That based on which logic you want to reduce the values into a single value. So that logic you are going to mention inside your callback function. But then the whole funda is that this method is going to give you one single value, and that depending on the data set, right? So if it, let's say if it is a number, then it is going to give you one single value in return based on the logic that you have applied. And let's say if it is an object, right, then it is going to give you one data set back based on the logic that you have written. So let's understand this by taking an example. All right, so this is the array that I have, and I will first write a logic to reduce the values of this array into a single value by applying summation. So I just want to do a total of all these values. So the syntax goes like this. I'll just need to first mention the array. So array.reduce, and then inside this, if you see here, right, it takes two parameters. So first one will be callback function. So let's just write the callback function first. And if you remember in the callback function, the way we saw in the filter method, right? Similarly here, we have to first, of course, take the element holder, right, which is going to hold the value. And here we need to mention one more parameter, okay? So the accumulator, right? So when you are reducing all the elements values into a single value, so we also need to keep one container where it will keep that value, the accumulated value, right? So for that, here you can give any name, right? But here I'm giving it as total. So, and then inside this, we will write the logic. So I'll just write return and then total plus element. So basically I'm saying that in this accumulator initially, and if you see the second parameter, right, it takes the initial value. So the second parameter will go here. So comma and then 0. So basically I'm saying here by defining this that assign 0 to the total initially. So total is equals to 0. So total will have initial value as 0. And then this function is going to run on each and every element of the array, right? That is what it says. It iterates over the array. All right. So if we try run this, so first it will take the value, first value, which is 10. So here it will take 10, and the total initial value of the total is 0. So here 0 plus 10 will be 10, right? And then this is going to run for 20. So now the previous value for total was 10. So 20 plus 10, it will be 30. And then again it will run for 5, right? So that is how it is going to summate all the values. So just remember these 2 points, that inside the callback function, you need to give two parameters. So along with the element parameter, right, which is going to hold all your element values, you also need to give an accumulator placeholder, which is going to hold the accumulated values. And this accumulated value could be here you can give any name, right? But here your logic could be anything. Here I'm just doing the summation, but depending on whatever condition you're writing, it could be anything else as well. But the whole funda is that this is the accumulator which is going to keep the value based on the condition or whatever logic you are writing here. All right. And then after that, you also of course need to give the initial value. So this is important, right? Because here, for example, let's say if I give the value as, so let me just call this, okay? Let me just log this and show you the result here. So I'll just take a variable const some value, and is equals to this, and let me just log this here, log and then some value. And if I save this, you see the total is 35, right? But here, let's say if I give the initial value for the total, let's say 5. Okay, so the initial value itself I have given 5, right? So it is going to add all the numbers based on this logic, but then it started the total as 5. So now this time, if I save and run this, it should show me 40, right? So if I save this, you see here, right? So just remember the syntax and remember that it will take two parameters, right? So this is example 1. Let's take another example. This time we are not going to do any mathematical operations, but we'll do something else. So for example 2, I'll take an object data set. Okay, so I have this object data set. Now, before I start writing the function, I want to show you what is the output that I want to see. So this is the output that I want to see. I want to see the reduced values which will show me the data by grouping the age. Okay, so group by age basically. So this is the output that I want. Okay, so here if you see, we have three records here, right? And two of them has the age as 25. So that is how I am grouping it by age. All right. So if I want to write a logic to get this output using the reduce method, so how will I do it? Okay, so let's just start writing that. So first I'll take the data set. So people dot reduce. Okay, and then we have to write a callback function, correct? So I'll mention a function, and then inside this we have to give two parameters, correct? So in the previous example, if you see the total, the result of the total, we knew that it is going to be a number, right? A single number. So we just defined it as total, right? So similarly, we also have to give an accumulator here, but keep in mind that this accumulator is going to return you an object, right? So here, let me just first write something here. Let's say accumulator, and then I'll take element, and then inside this, let's change this to person, okay, just for the convenience. So here I'll first, so idea is to give the age as the key and these things in values, okay. So here first what I'll do is ACC, because I know that ACC is going to be an object, okay. So ACC age person dot age, okay, and here I'll give something like this. I'll assign this value, and then so in the first iteration when it runs for the first data set, so it is going to check if the key already exists, as in if the age already exists into this accumulator, okay. So and what is this accumulator? This is an object type, right? Because this is the output we are expecting. And here also in the initial value we will give something like this, because this will be the output, right? We this should be able to hold the output, and which should be an object, right? So empty object. So basically initially this ACC will be an empty object. So here we are just checking by writing this. I am just checking that if it is empty, then assign the person's age as the key, okay. So the age will go in the key, and initially the key will be there'll be no key inside this, right? So in the first iteration it will assign the age as the key 25, okay. And then after that I have to push the name also, right, as the value. So here ACC person dot age, and here I'll use the push method, push person dot name. So in the first iteration it will create the key as 25, and it will also push the name value inside this, okay. And then in the second iteration it will check if the key already exists, right? Again it will do the same thing, and it will not find the key, because the key inside ACC we don't have any key as 30 by now, right, after first iteration. So it is going to assign the this particular key to the next value, okay. And then it will push the name as well, and then when it is going to run for the third data set, then it will find the key here, correct. It will find the key, and it will not assign it as empty. It will not recreate a new one, okay. So it is going to, because the key is already existing, it will just execute this line, and it will push the name into the values. All right. So now if I receive this, let's say const and then reduced result, and let us just log this. We'll take reduced result, and if I save this, we have to return as well, right? So return what? ACC, and then let's just save it again, and you see here we should be getting the expected output. So you see under 25, so group by age, right? So for 25 there are two records. For 25 there are two records, right? So if I open this, Alice and Charlie, so I'm getting Alice and Charlie for 25, and then I'm getting Bob for 30. All right. So any sort of logic that you want to apply, you can apply using the reduce method, and your derived result can be accumulated in the accumulator that you'll have. All right. So let's take one more example, and we'll count the occurrences. Okay. So here I have an array. All right. And then let me just remove few things from here. Okay. So I want to count that if, for example, for all the fruits, how many occurrences are there. So for example, for apple, it should show me two occurrences. For banana, it should show me two occurrences. For orange, it should show me one occurrence. All right. So let's apply the reduce method here. So fruits dot reduce, and then we'll write the callback function. So function, and then we'll pass two parameters. One is accumulator. Okay. Accumulator, and then here we'll take something for the element. Here let's just write fruit instead, okay, fruit, and then we will pass the fruit name in the as the key of the accumulator, okay. And again accumulator is going to be in the form of the object, okay. So here I'll take this, because it is going to return me a data set, right? For example, key value, key value. So key, for example, if the key is going to be apple, then for apple it is going to return me the value as 2. So apple would be the key, and the number of occurrences would be the value. And similarly for banana, banana is going to be key, and the number of occurrences is going to be the value, right? So that is why I'm taking the type here as the object. All right. So here we will take the fruit name as the key. All right. So accumulator, and then key would be what? Fruit. And here we'll first check if the key already exists in the accumulator. Okay. If not, we are going to give default value, and then so this is going to be the initial value. Okay, and then after that we are just going to do +1. So every time it will encounter this key, it is just going to do +1. All right, and then we are going to return the accumulator. Let's just save this, and then let's receive this as well. So const occurrences is equals to, and then I'll just print this, and we'll just save this. Okay, so here if you see, if I open this, so apple, there are two occurrences for the apple, and then two occurrences for the banana, and one is for orange, right? So basically the whole thing is that whatever you're writing here, right, whatever logic you're writing inside your callback function, it is supposed to be reducing, like your idea should be to reduce the data set into a single value. Okay, so here for example, do not get confused that okay, there are multiple values. No, but the data set is, this is one record, right? If you see the total here, right, and I mean the initial thing that we had assigned. So if let's say if it would have been a number, then like after reducing, it would have reduced to a single number, right? For example, the way we saw here. But in, like, when we are dealing with objects, then of course, like, one single record, you can say that, you have to say that it's a single reduced value, right? So honestly, these are pretty straightforward examples, but I think you should practice more. So for example, you can, like, take a data set of, let's say, a string, and then you can try counting the number of occurrences of each letters, right? Something like, just take a string value right here, and then maybe try to, for example, if I take this, so const strval, and let's say if I type in JavaScript, right, and then like something, I add here something just to make it a bit larger. Okay, so here for example, if I want to count the number of occurrences for alphabet A, or if I want to count the number of occurrences of S, right? So just practice examples like these, right, and then you will get a much better idea of, like, how to use this. At least if you have understood the concept, I think you should be able to, like, do other similar examples as well. Okay, so for now, that's it in reduce method, and I'll see you in the next one.